You are about to watch the most comprehensive guide on building AI agents in 2025. My name is Emil, and I've built over 50 AI agents in the past 8 months, and I'm going to be teaching you everything I know to take you from a complete beginner to a professional when it comes to building AI agents. If you watch this video from start to finish, you'll fully understand how AI agents work, how to build them, and how businesses are leveraging them to make more money, and how you can do the same. Now, there are some great videos just like this one out there on YouTube, but they all focus on AI chatbots. Some of my friends, Liam Otley and Bo Saar, have made comprehensive tutorials on AI chatbots, but those are over a year ago, and I want to share the most updated technology with you guys today. The new era of AI agents is taking over, and in just the past months, we've seen tools such as N8N completely disrupt the playing field and making it easier than ever for a beginner to get into building AI agents. Now listen, I'm gonna be straight up and honest with you. My team and I spent at least 20 hours preparing this specific video, and we could have made this a paid course. But instead, I'm giving it away completely for free. Well, not exactly for free, because you're actually paying with your attention, which is the most valuable currency in today's world. So make sure that your investment into this video pays off. Watch this video as many times as you need, take notes, and actually take action on what I'm gonna show you. Because the knowledge alone is not gonna get you results. It's the execution of this knowledge that will change your life. And for full transparency, I'm making this a free course, even though I could have charged money for it, simply because it allows us to reach more people. If more people watch the video because it's incredibly valuable, more people are gonna know about OmniFusion, and we're gonna get more clients in return. So while this is a great deal for you, it's also a great deal for me, and it's the perfect win-win situation. So let's quickly go over what we're going to be covering in this video. First, we're gonna talk about the potential of AI business and why you should take it seriously in 2025. Next, we're gonna go over some core concepts and make sure you really understand the power of AI agents before we actually dive into building them. The third step is going to be to cover some theory, which is prompt engineering, the most essential skill that you're going to learn to monetize in 2025 using AI. We're then going to jump into some use cases and when this sort of implementation makes sense for a business. And finally, the biggest chunk of this video is going to be the step-by-step tutorials, where I'm not going to be building out just one AI agent. I'm going to be building out 2 different AI agents on 2 different tech stacks to make sure that you get the full picture of what is possible today. Now, if you're still on the edge on whether you should start an AI business in 2025, let me help you with that decision. Now, we are very, very early in this whole space. It may seem like people are far ahead of you and they have so many more clients and so much more experience, but the actual level of adoption of AI in real-world businesses isn't that high yet. However, as you can see on the screen, the market revenue for natural language processing has skyrocketed over the past few years, and I predict that it's actually going to blow up over the next couple of years and become a multi-$100 billion industry. Now, the most important thing when it comes to the potential of any business venture or opportunity is timing. And timing right now for building AI agents and making it your most valuable skill has never been better before. The timing is perfect, and since this video was recommended to you on YouTube, I can guarantee that it's a sign from above that you should start taking this opportunity seriously. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably aware of AI chatbots. AI chatbots were quite frankly what put the whole AI business model on the map. However, there are many downsides to AI chatbots, such as flexibility, functionality, and how good it actually works in the real world. The next evolution, the big brother of AI chatbots, are actually AI agents. As you can see here on the screen, we have the foundational models, which is OpenAI, Anthropic, DeepSeek. On top of these foundational models, AI chatbots were the first layer that were popularized and that were actually implemented into businesses. And now we are at the pinnacle of AI integrations, which are AI agents, which are actually much more advanced than simple AI chatbots. The main difference here between a chatbot and an agent is best explained if I simply show you. Now, we are inside a voice flow canvas, which is the tool that I originally started out with for building AI chatbots. As you can see, an AI chatbot connects multiple nodes with steps such as conditions, logic, if-else components, AI steps, and much more. In order to make this a working system, you need to actually build out all of these nodes. And what you see here on the screen now is an AI agent. Now, you may notice that it's way less than what you just saw on the voice flow side. However, the power inside this simple workflow on the screen right now is actually way superior to what you saw previously. Now, the key of an AI agent is that it's actually controlled by one huge prompt. One massive prompt allows the agent to smartly determine when to access different tools. You can think of it as a smarter way to create AI solutions because this AI agent can autonomously decide when to access a CRM, a task management tool, or even your calendar. Now, all of this is going to make a lot more sense later on in this video when I walk you through the actual AI agent builds. But for now, simply understand that it's one core prompt that determines the output of your agent instead of hundreds of different smaller nodes. This is actually a perfect segue into the next section of this course, which is prompt engineering. Now, with an AI agent, you have one prompt and one prompt only that determines the entire success of your system. Now, you can imagine that it's actually more important than ever to actually master prompt engineering and know exactly how to word things inside of a prompt. Now, the prompt is responsible for both the power of an AI agent as well as the cost efficiency, because the better your prompt is written, the more money you're going to save on actual token inputs with a large language model such as OpenAI's GPT-4o. Now, prompting AI agents is a completely different skill to using ChatGPT or prompting an AI chatbot. Now, there's two types of prompting which have been studied in depth. The first one is conversational prompting, which is what you do with ChatGPT. You ask a question, you get a reply back, you're able to ask follow-up questions and inputs in order to get the output that you're actually expecting. Now, it's different with AI agents because the framework that you actually need to use is single-shot prompting. This is what we're going to be learning in this video, and it actually means that you have one shot, one opportunity to get it right because you have one input, one master prompt, and this prompt is going to determine your output. There are no second tries. Now, the framework for a prompt like this is actually very simple once you fully understand it. The first step is the role or the context of your AI agent. Writing these prompts actually becomes incredibly simple once you understand the basic framework and foundations for it. Now, we're going to do this together and go over the framework step by step. Now, the first step of any AI agent prompt should be the role and the context of the AI agent. Now, I've actually written out this part of the prompt, and it could look something like this. You are Maria, a customer support agent for Omni Skincare. You are speaking to leads via Instagram DMs with the goal of scheduling a free skincare consultation with one of our experts. Now, this part of the prompt allows you to set the frame for who this AI agent is, what it's doing, and where it's talking to people. So it now knows its name is Maria, it's an agent for Omni Skincare, it's speaking in Instagram DMs, and it has the goal of a free skincare consultation. Now, you could even go deeper and, for example, explain the fictitious company Omni Skincare and say Omni Skincare, which is the leading skincare provider in North America. So by adding information in this part of the prompt, along with some context on what the agent is actually doing, allows you to set the frame for what's to come. The second part of the prompt is going to be style. You want to specify how the agent should speak and what style it should use for its messages. Now, I've gone ahead and written out this style section, which I've written as speak in a friendly tone and use emojis to support it. Keep your messages short and concise to make them easily digestible, and share all links in plain text. Share all links in plain text is something that I added because usually it's going to format the links with brackets because it thinks that it's going to be a hyperlink. However, when it's talking in Instagram DMs, for example, or Facebook or WhatsApp, you will want the AI to share the links in plain text to make it nice and appealing to the user. Otherwise, it's very obvious that AI actually sent this link. Now, you can expand on the style requirements further, make sure it aligns with your brand guidelines, and much more. You can also add sample emojis. If you have specific emojis that you want to use, you can add them into the prompt as well. The next step are instructions or the task that you want the agent to complete. Now, in the case of a sales agent, for example, which is where this prompt is currently going, you would want to specify the instructions for the specific conversation, as well as the script which the AI should follow. If it's a customer support agent, you might want to structure it in a different way where you say, okay, number one, you want to find out what exactly the user needs. Number two, you want to search your knowledge to find a suitable solution. And number three, you want to present it to the user. So I've actually gone ahead and written this out for this specific example. You would say something like, follow the script below. If the lead takes you off course through an objection, handle the objection accordingly and return to the script. So we're just setting the framework with some instruction, and then we have the specific script, or you can also look at it as the task, which would be to follow the steps listed here with a quick outreach script, finding out how they currently feel about the skin and discovering their pain points, then finding out what they've tried to improve it, etc. So we go through the steps that we want the AI agent to follow. Now, you may have noticed here for step number 5, I've written down offer them a free consulting session without any further specifications, because here you could either add a link, so a link to book in that session and actually have the AI send that out to the user, or, which is the next section, you can use tools. Now, tools are going to be something that we're going to cover later in this video, but as you can see, for an AI agent, you can add a tool such as, for example, a Google Calendar tool, which will allow the AI to actually book in different appointments autonomously through Google Calendar. Now, if you go ahead and use a calendar tool, you would actually have to specify the tool in the tools section. So as you can see, we wrote, you have access to a scheduling tool that can search for availability up to 1 month from the current date. Always propose 3 meeting time options within that 1 month range. If the user requests a time beyond 1 month, reiterate that availability is limited to within the next month, and use this tool to schedule appointments with the user. Now, if you have this tool option set up, you would also want to specify this further in the script. So you would actually adjust this section here to specify that you want to use the availability checking tool. Then once the user agreed for a time, you want to ask for their email to send an invitation. And then the last step is going to be to use the scheduling tool to actually schedule the appointment. So by using the instructions and the tools in unison, you can allow your agent to easily understand when to use which tool and for which purpose. And by doing it this way, it will actually work and be able to book appointments. And the final aspect of an AI agent prompt is additional inputs. For some use cases or specific businesses, you may want to add additional requirements down here just to further clarify. These are usually things that come up during testing. So during testing, the AI is going to mess up. It's a normal process of actually testing an AI agent, which I'm going to show you guys later. And by adding these specific cases and how to handle them inside the additional inputs, if they don't fit into one of the other sections, it's a very easy way to just narrow down what the agent is doing and make sure that it behaves in the way that you want it to. So now that you know how to write a prompt for an AI agent, let's cover some quick use cases, and then we'll dive right into the specifics on how to actually build it, and I'll do a full technical walkthrough for you guys. Now, the main business use cases that I would say are out in the open for anyone to start tackling are, number one, appointment setting or anything related to the sales process of businesses, which is what we focus on at OmniFusion AI. We're an AI sales agency. We focus specifically on sales systems and optimizing sales processes using AI. So that's a very, very popular use case. The second one is customer support. You can build customer support agents, implement them into businesses, and allow them to reduce customer support costs and increase client satisfaction because you have faster reply times and you're able to better help those customers. We've delivered a lot of AI customer support agents back in the day, and until today, those clients are still active and running. So it's a very long-lasting thing because a big business is always going to need customer support. And by having AI in that process, it just makes their lives a whole lot easier. And finally, internal tools. There's a lot of internal use cases, such as, for example, we did a project on bookkeeping where we used AI to actually automate certain aspects of the bookkeeping. There are also many other internal use cases which you can discover on a case-by-case basis. So whenever a client comes to you, you can figure these things out as you go. But the main two that you should put your eyes on is either the sales aspect or the support aspects. It's the easiest way to start. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to start getting clients as well. And now it is time to finally build the first of the two agents that we're going to be building in this video. Quick side note, I'm going to be providing what we build out in this video for free in our free community at school.com/omnifusion. So once you finish watching the video, go ahead and check that out to get access to all of the free resources. The first agent we're going to be building with N8N and Go High Level. So N8N is originally a workflow automation tool similar to Zapier or Make. However, they have AI agent capabilities, which makes it the #1 tool out there today for building AI agents, with a close #2 coming later in this video. And we're going to be integrating the AI agent, which we build on N8N, inside of Go High Level, which allows us to integrate it directly into a CRM. It allows us to send messages on Instagram, Facebook, SMS, and much more. Both of these options have a 14-day free trial, so go ahead. I put both links down below in the description. Sign up if you haven't yet, and you can get started right away. Now, just to give you guys an idea of the type of complexity that can come with an N8N agent, here on screen is a project that we actually delivered for a client. I can't show specifics, unfortunately, but it's just to give you an idea of how broad a system like this can become. But don't worry, it doesn't need to be this complicated. You can start with much easier builds and work your way up as you go. Now, to get started with N8N, if you go to n8n.io and you navigate to pricing, you can see that they, #1, have a free 14-day trial. And they have a starter plan, which starts off at 20 euros per month, which is about $22, $23, which is going to be more than enough for you to start dipping your toes in and starting to experiment with these sort of things. As you start scaling, however, it makes sense to host this yourself. This is the beautiful thing about N8N. You can actually self-host it on your own server, save a ton of money, and get unlimited executions and workflows, which is what makes sense once you start scaling to additional clients. I'm not going to share how to do this specifically in this video, but I might make a video on this in the future. So if you're interested in that, just leave a comment down below. So once you've signed up to the N8N Cloud free trial, this is what you're going to see. I also have a trial account just to simulate exactly what you're going to be seeing. Once you're in this account, all you need to do is go ahead and click on Create Workflow to create your first AI agent project. I'm going to go ahead and name this YouTube course, and we now have an empty canvas where we can get started building out an AI agent. Now, we're going to start by adding a couple nodes. We're first going to add a first step where we're going to search for chat, and we're going to use a chat trigger, which makes it very simple for us to actually navigate in here. And it's going to allow us to actually test the agent inside of N8N itself. Now, an important note while building N8N agents is to always save in between. There is actually no autosave, so you want to make sure that you save things in between. Now, the next thing we're going to do is actually add another node by clicking here, and we're going to look for an agent, which is the AI agent right here. Now, once we've added the agent, this window is going to open up. Make sure, and this is already the default, to select a tools agent. We want to use a tool agent so that we can give it access to additional tools such as a Google Calendar, a CRM, or anything else that you may need. Now, in this case, the source for prompt is going to be the connected chat trigger node, but I'm going to show you later in this video how to actually switch it so that you can connect it with Go High Level. Now, if we exit out of this window, we now have the AI agent, but we have a red exclamation mark, and that is because we have not connected a chat model or a memory. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to connect a chat model, which in this case, once you click on the plus, we're just going to look for OpenAI, which is what we're going to be using, and we're going to select a credential. So to do this, all we need to do is click on Create New Credential, and here we're going to need to connect our OpenAI account. Now, if you've never generated an OpenAI API key before, it's actually very simple. All you need to do is go to platform.openai.com. You can use the same email that you used for ChatGPT to log in here. Now, once you've logged in using your ChatGPT email, just go to platform.openai.com/API-keys, and here you're going to be on the API key page. All you need to do is click on Create New Secret Key, name the key, so I'm going to call it YouTube Course, and click on Create Secret Key. Now it's going to expose the secret key. Simply go ahead and click on Copy, go back into N8N, paste in the API key, and you are actually done. Now we're just gonna go ahead and click on save. As you can see, the credential is successfully created and it was tested successfully, which means that we've set up everything correctly. We now are able to specify the model that we want to use from this list, such as GPT-4o mini, or what we're going to use in our case is GPT-4o. And you actually have additional options, such as adding parameters for the temperature, for the presence penalty, and the frequency penalty, which is all values that I'm going to be explaining a little bit later on in this video. Now that we have the chat model connected, the next thing we need to do is to connect memory to make sure that the agent is able to have an ongoing conversation. What we're going to use for this is the window buffer memory, which is the easiest option. I might make a video in future on how to use Postgres chat memory, which is something that we actually use internally for our projects. And if you click on docs, there's actually very great guides by N8N. But for this video, we are going to go ahead and use the window buffer memory, which is the easiest option, and it's directly integrated inside of N8N. Now, all you need to specify here is the context window length, which is how many past interactions the model gets as context. Now, 5 is a little bit low in my opinion, so I would always up it to 10, which means that 10 back and forth, so one user message, one AI message, counts as one back and forth. So you have 10 back and forth conversation flows if you set it up in this way. Now all you need to do is go ahead and click on save, and we're quickly going to test this to ensure that everything is set up correctly. So I'm going to say hi, and I got the message back, hello, how can I assist you today? So we have everything set up now and it's actually working. So now we can go ahead and start adding in our prompt. So I'm actually going to go ahead and copy the prompt that we just made, and I'm going to click on the AI agent. Here we're going to click on add option, and we're going to select a system message. This is going to be the master prompt that I was just talking about, which is going to be the brain of your AI agent. Now, what I like to do here is change from fixed, which only allows you to see it like this, to expression, which actually allows you to click this little arrow and have everything up in a big field, which makes it much easier. We're going to go ahead and clear out the default prompt, and we're going to paste in the entire prompt that we just wrote. We're going to go ahead and close this, and we're going to click on save. And now if we go on open chat, we reset the previous execution and we say hi, the behavior of the agent is going to be entirely different because it's now going to follow the script that we just specified, and it's going to say, hi there, I noticed you just filled out the form for a free skincare consultation. So it's actually following what we tell it to do inside of the prompt. We can now lead an entire conversation based on this one single prompt, which really is the power of an AI agent. So if I just say yes, that's cool, it's going to go ahead and ask me how I feel about my skin. I have confidence issues because of my pimples. And as you can see, it's actually leading a full conversation here. It's using emojis like we specified it to. It's finding my pain points. It's following the script that we want it to. Now, the key aspect for an agent like this is to also give it access to not just a prompt and memory, but you also want to give it access to knowledge, which is called a knowledge base. Now, in order to do this, there's a ton of different options that you can use. My favorite and go-to, which we use in the company, is Quadrant. Now, if you go to quadrant.tech, you can actually get started for free and have a free knowledge base cluster set up. Once you start building out more projects and you have to pay for Quadrant, there's actually a very neat hack to save 20%. If you go ahead and Google Quadrant Startup Program, you will find this page called Quadrant for Startups, where you can apply to get 20% off for your Quadrant knowledge bases, which is a very useful hack. We did the same thing, and we're saving 20% every month. Inside of N8N, to actually set up Quadrant, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the plus for the tool, because this is going to be a tool to use. And you can see right here, we have the vector stores actually suggested. So there's an in-memory vector store, which you can use, which is probably the easiest option if you just want to start it out, where you can name it, for example, knowledge. You can have a description, which is use this to find answers to questions about Omni skincare. And you can set up the embedding right here, but we're not going to be doing this. We're going to be using Quadrant, which is the much more scalable option. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to call the tool knowledge. We're going to say, use this tool to find answers to questions about Omni skincare. And now we actually need to complete the setup by connecting certain credentials. To do this, we're going to go to Quadrant, we're going to log in, and once you've logged into Quadrant, in your case, you're going to be able to start completely for free. So all you need to do is navigate to clusters, click on create, and you're going to be able to select the free option to get started. As I said, completely for free. You're just going to name it, which is going to be Omni Skincare is going to be the name for this cluster, and you're going to go ahead and click on create. As you can see, the cluster was now created successfully. It's currently creating. Usually takes about 2 minutes for it to be done. What we need to do now is actually go ahead and click on create API key. So we click on create API key. We're going to call it Omni Skincare Key, and we need to do it without the space. Make sure you select write operations right here, and we're going to go ahead and click on create. You can now copy out this API key right here and make sure that you save it somewhere because you will need this in the future, not just for the setup right now. Now what we're going to do is go back inside of N8N. We're going to click on the credential. We're going to click on create new credential, and this is going to be the account right here. We're going to paste in the API key that we just copied from Quadrant, and now we just need the Quadrant URL. For this, we're going to go back, we're going to exit out of this window, and this endpoint right here is the URL which we're going to need to use. So we're going to go ahead and copy this, we're going to paste it into here, and we're going to go ahead and click on save. It has now tested the connection, and it is successfully set up. Now, in order to complete this setup, we need to specify which collection we want to use as our knowledge base. Now, in order to do this, you can either use from list and choose from the dropdown, which in this case right now, for some reason, it's not actually showing, or you can select by ID, go back into Quadrant and copy the ID for your specific cluster, go back into N8N and paste in the ID. We also have a limit right here, which specifies how many chunks of knowledge are going to be returned. Usually something between 2 and 4 is going to be the best way to go. I'm going to leave it at 4 for now, and we're going to be able to exit out of this and click on save. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually add embedding. For this, we're just going to click on the plus. We're going to use embeddings OpenAI, and we simply select the same credentials that we previously had. And this right here, you can leave at the default and use the text embedding 3 small. You might want to use large, but small is the best option, and we usually use that for most projects. So as you can see, we now have the vector store set up with the embeddings. Now, all we need to do in order to make the agent understand when to use this tool, what we're going to do is go back into the agent, open up the prompt, and navigate to the tools section, where we can now say you have access to the knowledge tool. Use this tool every time the lead asks you a question to find the correct answer. Specifying it in this way, it's going to actually use this tool to answer questions from the users. Now, this is where it gets a little bit technical, but don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. What we need to do is go inside of Quadrant. Inside the cluster, we're going to go ahead and click on Open Dashboard. This is going to open up a separate dashboard. Now, in your case, it's probably going to ask for your API key. So just take the API key that you saved before for Quadrant and paste it in here to actually access this dashboard. Now, once you see this interface, all you need to do is go over to your console. We're going to go ahead and clear out everything that we see here. And here, once we've cleared everything out, we're going to paste this in. Now, don't worry, this entire code right here is going to be available for free in our school community. So just go in there, find the specific video, and the code is going to be there. But basically, we want to specify the size that we're going to use, which is 1536. And all you need to do is click run. Now, you can see the result is true and the status is okay. Now, if we navigate over here to collections, we're actually going to see the collection, which is example knowledge base, and it is actually fully set up. However, right now, if we click on this collection, you can see that it's empty. There's actually no information inside of this collection, which is what we're going to fix next. Now, since this is empty, we're actually going to go inside of N8N, and we're going to add this part down here to our flow. Now, don't worry, everything I'm showing you here is going to be available completely for free, as I said. So this is going to be part of the template available in our free community. But basically what happens here is actually very simple. First, we have an edit fields, which is going to be setting our knowledge base. So right here, we have manual mapping. We have a field called knowledge base, which we're going to set with this information right here. So we have all kinds of knowledge base information that we can add here. And I'm just going to quickly whip up something with ChatGPT. So I've now prepared a quick mock knowledge base. And usually the way I like to format knowledge bases is to have a question and an answer, a question and an answer. So how long is the consultation? The sessions typically last 15 to 20 minutes and is done via video or phone call, right? So any knowledge that you want to give the agent, any questions and answers, you would simply add it in here. And the question answer format makes it very easy, and it's the easiest way for you guys to get started. Now, once you've added here the custom fields, next thing you're going to need to do here is the Quadrant Vector Store. Make sure that you have the account connected from the previous step. You have the operation mode, insert documents. This is key. And then you need to choose the collection, which we just set up over here. So in this case, it's called example knowledge base, and make sure you have that selected from the dropdown. The other part you need is embeddings. Now the embeddings are simply going to be the same that you already set up here. So you're going to do the same down here. And then you're going to add a default data loader along with a character text splitter. These two nodes here, you can leave as they come in the default settings with N8N, so you can just add them in, or if you have the template, then you're fine anyways. Now simply click on the Quadrant Vector Store, and we can now go ahead and test this step. As you can see, the workflow was successfully executed. So now if we go back into Quadrant and we refresh this page, you're going to be able to see that the actual content of the knowledge base has been added in to our vector store inside of Quadrant. And we can now exit out of this step inside of N8N. And the tool that we have up here, which is set to retrieve documents, is going to be able to actually execute. So now before we go ahead and test it, what we need to do is go back to the Quadrant Vector Store here. I've also adjusted this description a little bit and said input the question exactly as asked by the user. And here in the Quadrant collection, we're going to go back to the from list option instead of the ID from previously. And we're going to select the example knowledge base right here. We're then going to go ahead and exit out, and we're going to click on open chat. Now we're going to start a new conversation, and we're going to ask a question from the knowledge base, which is going to be how long is the consultation, which the answer is it typically lasts 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to go ahead and ask this question, and you can actually see the Quadrant Vector Store working in real time. And as you can see, it got back the answer and says it typically lasts about 15 to 20 minutes and can be done via video or phone call. This actually allows us to see the latest logs from this node. And if we click on the Quadrant Vector Store node, we can see that the input into the Vector Store tool was how long is the consultation, and the response was the knowledge which we actually inserted into the knowledge base. So now we actually have an AI agent fully set up with a working AI sales agent prompt, with memory added, and with a custom knowledge base where we can upsert knowledge into the Vector Store whenever we need. Now, the next step is going to be to actually integrate this into Go High Level so that it can be used with things such as SMS. Now, the first thing that we're going to have to do here is actually change the trigger from when chat message is received to a different trigger, which is going to be the webhook node. So we're going to use the webhook, we're going to insert it, and we're going to connect it to the AI agent. And then at the end of the AI agent, we actually need to add a respond to webhook node, which is going to respond to the webhook, which we're going to send. Now, a webhook is what we're going to be using from Go High Level, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, to actually ping the AI agent. Then we're going to get a response back, which we can then send to the user. Now, in order to do this, we're going to log into Go High Level into the account that we made. We're actually going to have to go ahead and switch into a specific sub account where I have one set up specifically for our YouTube videos. And here we're going to navigate over to automations. In automations, I have a subfolder called YouTube, where inside I have an SMS agent template, which is what I'm going to be using for this video. I actually made a video on integrating SMS into Go High Level, so I'm going to link that somewhere here on the screen. You can watch that if you want to know how to actually connect a phone number to Go High Level. For this video, I'm not going to cover that aspect, but if you go into the flow, it's actually very, very simple. We have a trigger, which is when the customer replies on the reply channel SMS. We send out a webhook, which is a custom event with the post method. And here we need to add in the webhook URL. And then we're going to send out a SMS with the response from the webhook. All we need to do here is go onto the custom webhook. Now, before we can actually proceed, we need to make sure that we change a couple things. The HTTP method needs to be set to post because it needs to match what we're seeing over here in Go High Level, where the method is also post. We're then going to select the respond node, which is going to be using respond to webhook node. And now we're going to click on test URL and copy out this URL. We're then going to go back here. We're going to paste in the URL. We're going to scroll down and we're going to click on test again. Now, for you, it's not going to say test again. It's just going to say test. But here we need to go ahead and select a specific contact that we want to test it with. Now, if you don't have a contact added yet, you can go back a step, go to contacts, and here you can simply go ahead and add a contact with your phone number. You select that contact here and go back to N8N. We're going to click on listen for test event, and we're going to go ahead and click on send test request. Now it's going to give us a failure notification here because it's not getting a response back, but now we have everything we need inside here. As you can see, we got an ID and we got the message from the user. We're now going to go ahead and use those nodes in the next steps. So the first things first, we're going to go to the AI agent and we're going to change the source for prompt, which currently is connected to a chat trigger node. We're actually going to define it below. Here, we're now going to select expression. We're going to go to the left-hand side and we're going to select the message and drag it in here, which means that now we're giving the AI the message which we got from the webhook. We're then going to go ahead and select the ID, drag it in here, but we're only doing that so that we can easily copy it out. Exit this field. We're going to go to window buffer memory, and here we're also going to define the ID below. We're going to select expression and we're going to paste in what we just got from above. So now we've actually specified the user ID and the message from the Go High Level user as a variable. So no matter which user sends it, it's always going to use the unique ID for that specific user. And now we're going to go to the respond to webhook node and we're going to select with text. And for the response body, we're going to click on expression. And for this, we're just going to execute the previous node to get out the output from the AI, which we're going to drag into the response body, which is now going to be the response that gets sent back to Go High Level. We can now go ahead and click on save. And the next step is going to be to click on the webhook and take the production URL here. We're going to copy it, go back into Go High Level, change the URL from the test URL to the production URL. Before we test this though, we need to make sure that we save everything inside of N8N and make the flow active. If your flow isn't active yet, make sure to toggle it on. If you don't, it's not going to work. We then go ahead and click on test again. We select the contact again, and we're going to click on send test request. Now this time, it's going to show us a success with the status 200. And as you can see, we got the reply back from here. We can also go into N8N, click on executions, and see the most recent execution where we can see that the response was executed by the AI. We can see that everything here was working as expected. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to click on save action and we're going to go to SMS. And here, you're going to have to specify that you want to send out the response that we got from up here via SMS. For this, all you need to do here is navigate to custom webhook, click number 2 custom webhook, which is the one over here. Select that, and we're going to select the response. So now we have that saved as a variable. We're going to click on save action. We're going to click on save for the Go High Level workflow, and we're going to make sure that this is actually published. Now we've actually built the entire N8N agent. We've implemented it into Go High Level. We can also change it to different reply channels such as Instagram, Facebook, and much more, where I have other videos on the channel actually showing how to do this. And now we can actually go ahead and test this before we jump into the second AI agent build. So as you can see, I actually have a previous conversation here, but that doesn't matter because we've connected it to a new agent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called TalkU to actually get a phone number, and I'm going to test this conversation here. Ignore everything that happened previously. I'm just going to go ahead and say hi there, send the message. And if we go into Go High Level, we see that we just received the reply back saying hi there. And our AI replied back with the question about skincare. We can also once again check the executions. And if we just give it a second to load, we can see the newest execution where I said hi there and we got the reply back. So we now have a fully working conversation flow. If we go into TalkU, sometimes it takes a couple minutes for it to load, but we're going to get the reply back in here in a second, which is hello from here. And the full system is now actually working. And as you can see, after a couple of minutes of waiting, we actually received back the reply via SMS. And now we can keep this conversation going. I'm gonna send the message, even though there's a typo. And as you can see, we now have a back and forth conversation going inside of SMS. One final thing that I want to mention is when you click on the OpenAI chat model, we have frequency penalty, presence penalty, and sampling temperature. Now the temperature is how random the output is gonna be. So if you want it to stick very, very closely to the instructions that you give it in the prompt, you would want to add lower temperature, such as 0.05. If you wanted to have very random outputs, you can have a higher temperature, such as 0.9. Usually the sweet spot for a system like this is something like 0.2, 0.3, or 0.4. So we're going to set it to 0.3 in this case. Now, as for the frequency penalty and the presence penalty, this blog post from OpenAI actually explains it very well. Now, the frequency penalty is used to discourage the model from repeating the same words or phrases too frequently within the generated text. So we don't want it to keep saying the same things over and over, which is why we add a frequency penalty of, let's say, 0.4 is usually what we've seen work pretty well. And the presence penalty is used to encourage the model to include a diverse range of tokens in the generated text. So this makes the output of the agent have a little bit more variety, and we like to keep this at a low value such as 0.2. So those are just some little hacks for how to make your agents a little bit better. Now, for the second agent that we're going to build, we're actually going to be using Flowise AI, which is kind of similar to N8N, but it misses some of those additional integrations. Now, if we go to Flowise, you can see that this is what an agent looks like. We have the same aspects with the quadrant knowledge base, the tool agent. However, we don't have built-in tools such as Google Calendar, so we actually need to use custom tools. Now, in order to get started with Flowise, you can go to flowiseai.com, and the special thing about this is that you actually need to self-host Flowise. There is no cloud-based version. Now, the way that I would recommend doing this is with Render. I'm going to link this down below in the free community, and they have a very in-depth service on how to actually host this, so you can follow the steps step by step. The cheapest plan on Render is something like $8, which will be more than enough for you to start out. So for $8, you can have Flowise running on your own instance, and you can just follow these steps to set it up, or you can watch the video linked up here on the screen where I actually walk through the entire process from A to Z to actually set up Flowise. We're going to take this Flowise agent and we're going to integrate it inside of ManyChat. Now, ManyChat is a tool that many of you guys may be familiar with, but it's a very easy way for you to integrate mainly into Instagram DMs and Facebook Messenger, but they also offer support for WhatsApp, email, SMS, and other tools. But we personally use it a lot for Instagram DM appointment setters. Now, ManyChat has a free trial, and after that, it's $15 a month for what you need to be able to make this work, and I'm going to provide all the templates for you for free. Like I said, to get started with Flowise, follow this guide linked down below to actually self-host it. And once you have, you're going to see this page right here. All you need to do is go ahead and click on Add New to add a new chat flow. The first thing we're going to do is click on Save in the top right, and we're going to call this YouTube course. Now, we are going to be replicating the exact same agent that we built on N8N inside of Flowise. So in order to do that, we're going to click on the plus, we're going to search for agent, and we're going to need to look for the tool agent. We're going to drag the tool agent onto the canvas, and now we follow similar steps to what we did before. The first things first, we're going to have to use a tool calling chat model. For this, we're simply going to look for OpenAI in the left-hand side, and we're going to use the chat OpenAI node. For this, we're simply going to drag it up here, connect it up. We're then going to have to connect our credentials. So we're going to go to the drop-down, click on Create New. We're going to name this YouTube course. And we're going to do the same thing that we did previously, get the OpenAI API key, and we're going to paste it in here. We can then also go ahead and select the model name. So in this case, we're going to go for GPT-4o latest again. And then we also have the temperature, which we can set up. So we're going to do the same that we did before, and we're going to go with 0.3. We can also click on additional parameters to set up the values that we talked about previously, such as the top probability, frequency penalty, or the presence penalty. So we're going to do a 0.4 for the presence, and we're going to do a 0.2 for the frequency penalty. For the next step, we're going to need to set up memory. So for this, we're going to go to the left, we're going to search for memory, and we're going to select the buffer window memory. The size that we're going to use here is 10, and we're going to connect it up to the memory node. Now, finally, a tool agent in Flowise actually has the tools option as a requirement, so you need to add a tool. If you don't want to add a tool, you can simply go ahead and use something like the calculator and just add the calculator tool in here just to make sure that the agent is actually working. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and copy in the prompt for this agent. We're going to save it, and we can do a quick test right here by clicking on the chat bubble, saying hey, and we're going to get the reply back, which means that we set up everything correctly so far. We're now going to go ahead and click on clear just to clear out the chat, and we're going to delete the calculator node because we are going to be doing the same thing that we did before, with the quadrant knowledge base. For this, we're going to look for the retriever tool. If we scroll down, we're going to find it under tools, the retriever tool. We're going to drag it up here and connect it up to the agent node. Here, we're going to do something similar. We're going to call it knowledge, and we're going to add the same description that we had inside of N8N, which is use this tool to find answers to questions, input the question exactly as asked by the user. We're now going to have to specify a retriever, which in this case is going to be quadrant. We're going to drag this quadrant node up here to connect it to the retriever. For the connect credentials, we're going to do exactly what we did before. So we're going to select the Omni Skincare quadrant. We're going to need to specify the API key. And once you've added the API key, simply go ahead and click on save. Now we're going to need to set up the quadrant server URL. For this, we're once again going to go into quadrant, click on the cluster, and copy out the URL. We're going to go back into Flowise, paste in the URL. And here we're also going to have to specify the quadrant collection name, which is the name that you specified up here. So in my case, it's going to be Omni Skincare. Now that we've actually set this up, we can also click on additional parameters, which is going to determine here the top K, which is how many chunks we want to retrieve. So like I mentioned previously, something between 2 to 4. We're going to keep it at 4 for now, which is also the default. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for embeddings in the left-hand side. We're going to go for the OpenAI embeddings. We're going to connect the node to the embeddings over here. For the connect credentials, we're going to select the OpenAI credentials that we just set up, and we're going to keep it in the default settings right here. So now we actually have this agent set up, and it's going to be able to answer some questions. So if we go ahead and save it, and we ask how long is the consultation, and I actually made a mistake. Over here, I specified the cluster name and not the collection name. So for this, we're actually going to need to use the collection that we made previously, which in this case is example knowledge base, and we need to specify that over here in the quadrant collection name. So once we clicked on save, we can click on the chat model and we can ask how long is the consultation. And we now see that we got the reply back. If we click on the knowledge node, we can see the output from the tool, which is the exact knowledge that we added to quadrant previously. Now, if you want to add additional knowledge to quadrant right here, all you would need to do is add a document over here. So for this, for example, we can do a docx file or a text file. I like using docx with Flowise. We simply connect this to the document node. We are then going to go over here and look for a text splitter, where we're going to use the recursive character text splitter. We're going to connect the recursive character text splitter to the docx file, which is going to split the file up into smaller chunks. We can leave it at the default settings. And now we're simply going to add a docx file. Now, once you have your docx file prepared with the same format as previously, question answer, you would simply go ahead and select upload file, select the docx file, click on open. And as you can see, the question doc is now added over here. We would simply go ahead and click on save. And now we have this green little icon in the top right-hand corner. So we would simply go ahead and click on this, click on upsert, and this question, how much the skincare program costs, with the answer being 300, is now added to the knowledge base. So I'm simply going to go ahead and copy this just to test this aspect. And I'm going to ask the question over here to the agent. And as you can see, it now revealed the answer to the question after running the knowledge base tool. Now, if you want to use the same logic that we set up previously inside of N8N and use it for Flowise, you would have to use a custom tool. So in this case, you would go to the top left, you would look for custom tool, and this custom tool could be a calendar tool, which you would have to build out inside of N8N, Zapier, or Make. You would simply connect this up. And if you want a tutorial for the custom tool, join our free community. Inside there, I have a video on using custom tools inside of Flowise. Now, the ManyChat aspect is actually very, very easy. Once you sign up to ManyChat, it will walk you through the connection process for Instagram or Facebook to connect your Instagram account. Once you've done that, inside of ManyChat, simply navigate to automation. And in the free community, there's going to be a free template for this specific automation flow right here. Now, you're going to be able to import this automation flow inside of ManyChat, and it's going to look something like this. Now, it may look overwhelming to start out with, but I'm going to explain it to you, and it's very, very easy to adjust. Now, this part down here is actually allowing us to have multiple messages. So after every single message that a lead sends us, we are going to wait, in this case, 20 seconds to see if they sent an additional message. And if they didn't, they're going to get a reply. If they did, we're going to wait 20 seconds more to see if there's an other message there. So this allows the AI to respond to multiple messages at a time instead of sending a reply to every single message. Now, in order to use this, you would simply connect it up down here, and now the system is working. In this case, since I want faster testing, I'm just going to skip that part and connect it up directly here. Now, you don't really need to know much about this flow. All you need to know is that this right here, the action number 3, is a custom Google app script. So we'll have to set up the app script. The tutorial for that is in our free community. It's very, very easy to do. So you would simply enter your URL over here. And then we have the send message to Flowise node. For this, we simply go into Flowise. We click on the top right on this blue icon, and we select curl. Now here, we're gonna go ahead and copy out the curl URL. We're gonna copy it. We're gonna go back into ManyChat, and we're gonna change the URL that we have up here and replace it with the one that we just copied out of Flowise. You then go ahead and click on save. Once we've changed this URL and we've saved it, there's really nothing else for us to do. We are going to be able to actually use this live right now. So we're going to go ahead and click on update. There's a couple different trigger options inside of ManyChat. You can either add a trigger for when somebody sends a message with a specific keyword, or what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings, Instagram, and we're here going to set up a default reply. For this, you're going to select existing. You're going to select the Flowise flow that we just built. You're going to click on pick this automation. You can then click on it directly here to take you back into the automation. And now an important aspect is to click on this and make sure it's set to every time. By default, it's going to be set to once per 24 hours, but you want it set up to every time. And now we actually have a fully working flow. It's as easy as that. So now I'm inside of Instagram and I'm simply going to say hi there. And if we go back into ManyChat, we can actually go to the live chat section and see that we just received the message hi there. And we already got a message back. Hi there, I noticed you just filled out the form for a free skincare consultation. To make sure we can best help you, is it cool if I ask a few questions? We got this message back in Instagram as well. Sure thing, I'm gonna say back. And we just received that reply back here. Sure thing. And the AI is now in a full-blown conversation with us through Instagram using Flowise. Now, finally, once you learned how to build these solutions, you obviously need to start selling them. Now, when it comes to selling them, I am not the expert to talk to you about this. However, my business partner who makes videos on this very channel does have videos on selling AI solutions, and I'm going to link my favorite one up here, which explains how you should be framing your AI solutions to sell them. And if you subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video, we will have a lot more content for you coming out in the future. Make sure that you join the community at school.com/omnifusion. Get access to all of our free resources, templates, everything shared in this video, and so much more from other videos. Thank you guys for your support. I hope this course was valuable for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I hope you have a fantastic day.